Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon in the West Coast where you're all out there. Thank you for having me. We're going to talk to a little bit this evening about this afternoon about connecting with your customers. I was fortunate for MeTEOR to bring me out to Los Angeles to your conference a few weeks ago, and just really talk about how we can increase participation at the end of the day. Really just starting off, just give you a little bit about my background. I was in the military for about 8.5 years as a culinary specialist. One of my dream jobs I wanted to do after I got the military and traveling the world is that I wanted to come back home to Orlando, Florida, where I live, and work for Walt Disney World. So I got a chance to come back and spread some pixie dust and work at Walt Disney World. I managed two different restaurants. Number one was Pecosville Cafe, and the second one was Pinocchio's Village House. They both did about $18 million in sales apiece. A lot of people don't know, but Walt Disney World has some of the highest grossing restaurants in the world, but it's all private information and not public. But I learned a lot about innovation and just trying to see how we could take things to the next level. Walt had a really great vision, and they really made sure they imparted those into all the cast members that worked there. After working there for about 4 years, I decided I wanted to have a little change. And my wife told me about this thing called school food service, which I had no idea what it was. I never knew what everything exists behind it. And I just did some research, and I really fell in love with it. And so I got a job at Orange County Public Schools in Florida, not California. It's the 8th largest school district in the nation. I was a senior manager in charge of marketing, special projects, communications. I also managed 23 high schools, and I also oversaw the catering team, training team, and all the staff that went along with it. So I had a lot on my plate, but it was a fun opportunity for me to do. When I first got there, it was about 18 of the 19 schools in the red, not making money at all. But after about 3 years and a 46% increase in participation, we had 22 out of 23 schools that were all in the black. And so that was just something that worked really well, and just really, I had to cut my teeth and really learn about school food service and making sure that we could do what's best for our customers. So a little bit about what Ingenious Culinary Concepts does. We help basically public school cafeterias improve the products and services they provide to students. We just try to come up with great ideas and try to see how we can partner with school districts all across nations, and also companies like MeTEOR to increase participation in the cafeteria. Some of our key services: professional development, kind of like we did in California. We do a lot of keynote speaking, we do back to school training, just professional development in general to help the staff just really hone their skills to take their program to the next level. And then we do consulting. Our consulting consists of really our 2-day visit where we come out and we just work with the director, the managers, whoever it might be, to see how we can increase participation and try to give you the best advice we can. We have over probably 3,000 hours of focus group hours that we've conducted across the country, and we get a chance to utilize that data to make sure everything works well for your school district. We also do a lot of marketing promotions. One of the things I always tell school food service directors and staff is that, it's kind of monotonous when you sit in a cafeteria for 190 days and you're looking at the same walls, you don't have any promotions. We have to figure out and see what we can do. So we try to bring those things to life for school districts. Then one of the things I have the most fun of is just doing cafeteria redesign, which MeTEOR does a really great job of. It's just trying to give the resources to the school districts of how you can make your cafeteria really take it to the next level, and making sure that everybody knows that they're gonna have fun in the cafeteria and it becomes a place where students want to dine in. So one of the things that we talk about connecting with your customers, one of the top two reasons for customer loss is: number one, customers feel poorly treated. The thing about customers feeling poorly treated, you can't tell anybody how they feel. So if a customer tells you, like, I'm not happy, so, well, no, you're not really unhappy. Well, yes, they are. That's how they feel. So we have to make sure that our customers don't feel poorly treated. So it's really just making sure that you resolve their issues quickly. For example, number two is that says failure to solve a problem in a timely manner. You don't have to wait for the manager to resolve an issue, right? You don't have to you have to call the director and say, hey, someone spilled their food, can I replace it? No, you just want to really pounce on that challenge that you may have of the day and make sure resolve it quickly so the customer feels really happy, because they only have a short time period they have to eat lunch. So there's not a lot of time to make have decisions that are not fast. Next, 90% of 91% of unhappy customers will not willingly do business with you again. But if you resolve a complaint in a customer's favor, and they will do business with you again 70% of the time. And that's huge, right? Because you have to make sure that we just make everybody that it's not about having a challenge or issue that you have in your cafeteria or any place at all. It's really about how you resolve it, how fast can you resolve it, and making sure that they're happy at the end of the day and just going above and beyond. And that's the kind of service we need to make sure that we have inside of our programs on a daily basis. On top of that, we have to make sure we have great services, right? Because you look at the Chipotle's, you look at the all these different places that are out here now, the retail locations. They have great service, they have rewards, they're really going above and beyond to capture our students. And so I always ask schools, why aren't we doing the same thing, right? We might not have the multi-million-dollar budgets of the Wendy's, McDonald's, but we have kind hearts and we have different services that we can do to make sure that the students are feeling really appreciated when they come to dine with us inside of the schools. And one of the things that I always see a lot of things on the internet is people think that it's a one size fits all for all school districts, and there's no such thing. Living here in Florida, have a lot of clients in Georgia. We live in the South, so we might have a breakfast in schools, or here you might have cheese grits. Well, that might not work in California, right? So we have to see exactly what fits for every school district. And even within the school district, you will have different pockets of schools that are high free reduced, low free reduced, and you have to kind of see how you're going to fit all those things going in all at once, because we have to make sure that we also have to fit that generational gap. And what I mean about the generational gap is that you have to make sure that we can't just say, well, this is the way we've always done it, so we're going to keep doing it this way. No, times have changed. And as you see, the cassette tape going towards the iPods, and then even the phones. You have to kind of figure out and see how we're going to make all these different things, because the one thing we don't want to be is the old cool guy that's trying to be cool, right? We don't want to force any of these things onto the students. We have to stay in our lane and make sure we do what's right for the students, the customers, because they are very tech savvy. They know what they want. Things are changing so much. When I first came into the industry, the big thing was MySpace, right? Then we transitioned to Facebook, and then, you have Instagram, you got Snapchat, you got Twitter, then now you have TikTok. These things are going so quick. And before people even get on board, things have changed. I have a lot of clients that said, hey, we're not even on social media. We want to start a Facebook page. But as you see, students are gravitating to TikTok and all different things like that. So we have to see exactly how we're going to fit in and capture these students. Then you have to figure out it's a new day. Just where we're at right now, the world has created very savvy consumers. You look at the Uber Eats, you have the Grubhubs, you have Lyft, you have Uber, everything has changed so much, right? There's no reason you can't get around or get food brought to you. What worked 20, 10, and in some cases even 5 years ago might not work today. You have to really look at the technology and how you can adapt to technology, and also figure out what's going to make the students tick on a daily basis. So one of the things I look at is just feedback. It's really, really a no-brainer, right? We have to figure out and say, look, you have to get to know the customers. So how do you get to know us? Well, you do that by going to visit their tables. It is really, really important that you talk to your customers and you see and you get a chance to visit their tables on a daily basis. It's really no different than when you go to a restaurant and you go to your favorite restaurant, and the manager comes by and he or she asks you, is like, how's your meal? Is there anything else I can get you? It's the same level of service. I hear a lot of staff saying that, well, we don't have time to do that. Well, you have to make time. It doesn't necessarily have to be the manager. You can take your times and rotate between, the manager one day, the cashier another day, the server another day, but you have to go out there and talk to the students. And the great thing about doing some of these things is that most of your students are going to sit in the same seats. So you go out, you have a conversation. You're just like, how's your meal today, Susie? And get their feedback and say, hey, let me take your tray away from you and just leave her some napkins and throw a tray in the trash. And the next day you can go visit another table. make it a short conversation, less than 30 seconds. And that's really something that they will really appreciate, and that'll let you stand out because now they feel that you really care about them, right? So you have to listen, of course, take action. And then once you get involved in the process, that is huge. So when you're developing menus, whether it be concepts, marketing, promotions, whatever it might be, involve them, get them involved. They know what they want. You can't make it a decision based on what your taste buds are. I've talked to so many people that write menus and they write the menus themselves. Well, if you're 40 plus years old, your palates are going to be totally different than a student that's 5, 10, 15 years old. You know, we start losing our taste buds in our late 20s. So things that might have not been spicy to us, you know, when we were younger, now obviously they are spicy. So some things that are great to students like sour apples. Me personally, I don't like sour apple, right? But if students say they like it, well, we have to figure out and see how can we get sour apple onto the menu for some items. And lastly, you want to show them that you care, right? And that's so important that you show them that you care, because once they feel appreciated, they're going to value what you're saying and doing to them, right? So we have to make sure that we look at all the different vehicles we can use to make sure that you show the students that you care. So why is gathering feedback so important, right? So working at Walt Disney World, one of the things that we made sure that we did is that we always had to well, we had a team that made sure they got feedback from a customer as they come in the park and as they leave out the park, because successfully utilizing customer feedback is a must for any business, right? It's kind of like when you go to the store and they might ask you for your zip code or, you know, your area code or whatever it might be. They're just gathering feedback, right? Where am I going to send the mailers out to? What side of town? Who's shopping here? You just have to look in those different ideas. And same thing in cafeteria, having consistent focus groups or whatever it might be, help that guide your decisions to make tweaks. You run that up the chain of command, and then you have to figure out what is going to be successful. I've seen a lot of times in school districts where they put something on the menu to save money, make money, and they put the same menu on all year. And I was like, that's not going to be successful. You're going to have low participation. Yes, it's going to save some money from procurement standpoint. Yes, you don't have to do the menus 3 or 4 times. But what is that doing for your customers? How are they going to view your product, right? Are they just going to, you know, I've been in situations where the students tell me in focus groups, I can tell you what we're going to have today and for the next 2 weeks because we have the menu memorized. So if they're doing that, you need to throw them off a little bit and see what you want to do. Before you start getting customers' feedback, though, you need to see, okay, what part of the customer experience do you really want to improve? All right. What will you do with the data you collect and which channel works best for you? So you have to have a game plan of what you need to do. Again, there's no one size fits all. So you need to figure out how are you going to do this. Some ways to get feedback and different channels to do this, right? So you have electronic surveys that you can do. You have like Zoom, you have Google Link, you have SurveyMonkey. Some of these are all free. You can literally set students in a cafeteria, let them or media center, let them fill out the information. If you have iPads, whatever whatever you might have, let them fill out this survey, and then you get the feedback from it. Then you have focus groups, right? These are a little bit more intimate. I love focus groups because you get a chance to sit down and talk to them and really get feedback. You know, I always suggest start off small if you've never done it before, do 2 to 3 students, and then you could turn around and start increasing your focus group to no more than 6 to 8 students. A non-confrontational way that you can also get feedback is a suggestion box. You can literally take one of the boxes you have in a cafeteria, wrap it in some paper, put a little sign on it that says suggestion box, put some postcards out there, stickies, and let them drop it in there. I have a client that did this, and the first day she got 125 suggestions, really great suggestions that we never think of because it's just fresh eyes. Talk to the students directly. You can walk with students from class, right? Just once a month, maybe just walk down from the students for class, see what they see. You might start seeing things like, why is there a poster here talking about breakfast or lunch? Or why is the front of the line looking really messy? Or why is the line taking so long? These are all things that when you talk to students directly, you can find out through them. Then if you currently use social media or your school district or even the school uses social media, look at some of the mentions, see what's going on social media and see how you can resolve some of those issues and kind of go from there. Next, one of the biggest things is seeing sample foods, right? As you see in a lot of the malls, they hand out sample foods. And what you can do is just hand out sample foods to the students, because we're creatures of habits. And if we grew up eating a certain style of meal and not trying and kind of get out of our comfort zone, we'll never try anything. So you have to experience it and let students see, like, okay, I want to try something different. I give you a good example is that I was in North Carolina, and the student was had a pear on his plate. He didn't eat it, was eating it, about to toss it in the trash. And I said, hey, let me cut it up for you, and you can try it. And I turned around talking to the director. When I turned back around again, within about 3 or 4 minutes, the pear was gone. And he was like, what was that? I said it was a pear. He didn't even know what a pear was, but he said that he liked it and his friends liked it as well. And he asked when it's going to be on the menu next. So it's really about education, and also just letting them know exactly what can work well in the cafeteria by handling those sample meals. Now, sample meals, especially hot meals, take that for example. Um, Sampling meals, if you're going to have something on the menu, like say, let's just say Friday, I don't want to sample it on Friday, right? I want to sample it early in the week. So I want to sample Friday's menu maybe on Wednesday. And you just have students, kind of taste some of the items, because we want to make sure that we want to kind of make their minds up for them, so they know Friday that it's coming. So we hand out a sample saying, hey, this orange chicken is coming out on this Friday, and it's going to be available with fried rice and an egg roll, and let the students taste it. And then it kind of helps make up their minds, and hopefully your participation be higher on those days that you do the samplings. Then taste testing. That's another huge thing, right? Getting out there with your students and doing consistent taste testing, right? At least once a month. You can taste new items or existing items. Just go out there and just have a little simple sheet, let the students taste test the items and really create a buzz. But when you're doing this, one of the key things to doing this as well is making sure you use the right amount of students, right? We want to have a good mix of the students that are going to spread the word, right? So you want to get some people from different popular groups that are out there, whether it be student government, ROTC, football team, any sports, if they're in band, whatever it might be, just get those group of students out there and taste about it, let them start talking about it. And that way the students will get a chance to really spread the word about what's going on in your cafeteria. Then how you collect the data, that's all up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I've seen people use stickers with just simple yes or no's, scoring sheets like you see this on the screen, and rate it 1 through 5, whatever you would want to do, just collect the data and utilize it. But the great thing about this, right, is that you don't have to do this yourself. And that's the key about getting a lot of this work done that you see inside the schools. A lot of the leaders don't delegate enough. So one of the things I always suggest is that why not utilize the students in the schools? And I've done this numerous of times, and you won't believe what a student will do for a cookie, right? You give them cookie and chocolate milk, they'll hand out stuff all day for you. Especially get to high school level when they have to get a certain amount of hours for their credits in our community service, they can start clocking some of the hours. So it's going to look really great if you see the popular person from student government or football team or cheerleaders or whatever organization you have handle stuff out. They're going to be like, oh, this stuff must be good because so-and-so is eating it. So you want to utilize these students to help pass those things out and hand the food out whenever you get a chance. Let's talk a little bit about the operations, right? So operations, again, it's really, really important to make sure that we execute and get those things going. So carts. Carts is something that is really huge. They act as an additional line. One of the things that I've done over the years is that when I first started working in Orange County Public Schools in Orlando, Florida, I brought the cart concept to them. And at first, for the first year and a half, I could not get it going. No one really believed in the cart. This is way back in 2006, 2005, 2006. And so finally I had to get my team to go to Walt Disney World to really understand how the carts work. So we brought the carts in and we finally got them going. It took us about a year. And we had 25 carts throughout the entire school district. And that year we generated the first year $1 million in revenue off those carts. So it was just really just getting out there and providing another point of sale for the students. Because what we'll see is that a lot of students, they will not go through the serving line, but they'll buy items off the cart in the same cafeteria. So we just need to try to see exactly how we can reach them. There's a reason why theme parks use them, or you see kiosks in the malls, because they're out there just to create this different points of sales for people to eat um, dinner, breakfast, lunch in the cafeterias or any other establishment. Then you have to look at too, what can we do for mobile feeding? Now, when you start going to if you have a budget or not, there's school districts that that use golf carts. I've seen school districts use just the regular trailers to feed the students in. Then it's food trucks, and I've also seen the buses. So whatever you can deal with your budget, that's just something to use to have that's that as a sale. It breaks up the monotony of just going to the line the whole time. I know I used to take the food truck around and go to different schools and just feed the same meal at different schools, right? We'll tap into a wireless point of sale and we'll turn around and just feed students the food. And the craziest thing about it is that we go to a school, the students will swear the food tastes so much better on the food truck, but it'll be the same meal at the cafeteria, just packaged a little bit differently and it's served from a different environment. And they said, oh my gosh, this food is so good. You should have it in the cafeteria. And it's just the same meal. So it's really about throwing your customers off and just kind of going from there, right? Then this is just a picture of a food truck that that was on the street that I went and wrapped because when we had it in Orlando, we had a lot of hurricanes back in 2004, back to back to back, and so we used that as mobile feeding. But when I got here, it wasn't being used at all. Fortunately, it wasn't a lot of hurricanes, so they used it just as emergencies. I was like, hey, let's wrap it and let's put it on the on the street and serve a lot of food. And it was great because we got a chance to go out in the community as well and got a lot of things going. And then after Friday night football, some of my staff, they want to work some extra hours. We'll change the menu because now we don't have any constraints of having the meeting the nutrition guidelines. So we'll put turkey legs, burgers, whatever it might be, roll up to an event, and a food truck event, and sell items out of there. So it worked as um, you know, a great thing for our department because now my staff in the schools got extra hours and we generated different revenues for more schools and just selling different items out of the schools as well. So it's all about, how you utilize and do it. The third step, how we use it, is that we throw into community events. So we'll go to find a food truck rally or a different event. We'll pull the truck up and we'll create school lunch food service items off the truck and just hand them out as samples to parents. Then we'll have, at that time, we had free and reduced applications, and we'll turn around and give out free and reduced applications to the students. So it was something that worked out really well. And then students and parents were like, I can't believe you all are doing this in in our schools, and it was something that was great. And we got to really talk to a lot of people and change a lot of our minds because your external stakeholders, like we call them, they don't know. So it's up to you to educate them and let them know exactly what's going on in your district. If you're if you're going to be more reactive than proactive, you're going to be getting a bad rap every single time. You have to get in the community. You have to get in your local news stations. You have to get involved in events. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, but they're going to look at you as the expert. Trust me, I know, because when I first started in 2005, I told you we were $6 million in the hole. We were literally the laughing stock of the state of Florida. People would laugh when they see us and say like, oh my gosh, you literally said you guys suck. You guys, $6 million in the hole. You guys can't get anything right. And that fueled us, So in 3 years, when we turned everything around, now we were winning a lot of USDA awards. We rolled out a food truck that no one ever thought about it. They thought we were the underdog, and we surpassed everybody in the state. Not was it really a opportunity for us to brag or anything like that, but we just kind of like, we don't want to be known as the bottom feeders of the school food service industry. Now we became a leader. So I went from getting literally 10 calls a day from parents upset about what's on the menu to getting no calls. And we start getting calls, my director started getting calls from local news stations asking them to give her advice on school food service and why other districts aren't doing the things we were doing. So it made a positive turn and twist that came out for the best. And the reason why I say that you have to kind of get on the cutting edge is because I see now going around that parents and students are starting to utilize Uber Eats. They'll order Uber Eats for their child. It'll get delivered to the front office. They'll call the child from the class, pick up their food, and eat in the cafeteria the food. I've even seen one student, a secondary student in high school, order Uber Eats. The Uber Eats pull up to the fence, he reached over, grabbed his food, and sat in the cafeteria, right? And so we have to figure out and see what we have to do, especially if you have an open campus. You have to get really aggressive in making sure that you provide great service to get rid of these negative patterns in the schools. And some of those things that happen that can go from there is that you have to invest in order to generate different revenue, right? So you look at, simple thing that we did way back before anyone started doing it was like, we used, went from manila trays and white styrofoam trays to black trays. It was a little bit more expensive. Today's now is really affordable, but it was worth it because we saw a 3% gain in participation just when we changed the trays. We got rid of the sporks and went to actual forks and knives and cutlery, right? There's nowhere else you can really get sporks. I think the last place I saw a spork was at KFC when they serve coleslaw, but usually you have forks and knives. So that's what we want to mimic those retail environments and try to get those things going. Or you want to go green, you have some biodegradable trays, whatever works for your school district. Again, there's not a one size fits all. Information I give you is for you to filter through and see what works best for your school district at any time. But we want to really see how we can mimic some of those retail environments and get a lot of these things going, because packaging is so, so important. This is the one area where a lot of people just want to go with this, the cheap plastic clamshells, or they want to go the most inexpensive items, even in their center of the plate items on their meats. They want to go the most cheapest items to save money, but at what cost, right? I tell people all the time, their food costs, look at your food costs over the week, not just one day. As long as you're 40% over the week, I think you're in good, you're going to be in good hands. So it's because some days my food costs ran at 55% because I'm going to buy a higher cost quality item, but my sales through those days are going to go through the roof, and I'm going to make up for it, because then other days I can balance some stuff out with a commodity chicken or whatever it might be, or whatever commodity products that you have to balance your things out. So just what connects your customers, you have to kind of keep them off balance and seeing what you do and get it all going. Then with the trends, we want to look at the trends, right? So the ethnic, Asian, Indian, Latin, whatever it might be. Would it be wing bars, yoga parfaits? You have to look at just non-traditional things that people aren't doing, or even look and see what's working in your local community, and just really and see how can you mimic those things in your local community. You're gonna have to kind of stalk some days, go to the mall and see where the students hanging out at the mall, or what are some of the restaurants. You can literally go on Yelp and look and see what are the popular restaurants and what star ratings, and visit them and see on a Saturday, or even during the week after school, see what offering, where are students hanging out. And you just take some time, but you're gonna have to invest in yourself in order to see your participation go up. Non-traditional food offerings, dragon fruit, kiwi, different berries, whatever it might be, you need to see exactly what you can do. Really big or build your owns, would it be bowls, would it be sandwiches, whatever it might be. You look at different build your own concepts and seeing what you can do. So that's also going to help you increase your fruit and vegetable offerings as well when you look at some of these trends as well. Then you look at menu concepts. Work with student groups is really important. So you want to connect with your customers, help them develop menus. In this picture you see here, we had students work in groups of twos. We actually gave them tuna, and then we told them to develop some items off the menu utilizing some items utilizing tuna. So we had tuna, we had onions, we had pineapples, we had barbecue sauce. We had a whole bunch of different things that we utilized, and they developed recipes that really worked and went onto the menu for one of a school district that we worked with. Even doing food shows and festivals, that's something that you have to do to really get your internal, external stakeholders involved. When you do this, you get them involved, you tell X amount of brokers, right? Let's just say you have 5 brokers, and you start off small. If you have done before, bring 10, 15 students in and let them go ahead and taste test some of the items from the brokers. You have your rating sheet, they get involved in the whole process, and they go back out. Then you grow it. I started off with 15 students in a small 20 by 20 room, and end up my last food show that I did, I had about 300 students and about 50 vendors there, and it was really huge. And we brought students in. We kind of as a field trip, and the great thing about it, just being savvy, we counted it as a field trip. we had the manager that came along, bring some milk and fruit and vegetable. So we never lost any reimbursable meals when the students went to the food festival, and they got a meal while we're there as well. So you can do that. Also utilize the students to name products on the menu, and that's really savvy. So a student comes up with a great product or something, they can utilize that and name the product as well. So again, talking about students keeping them off balance, right? We have to figure out and see exactly what we're going to do. So it's kind of like, we see the chicken wars going on right now. We see McDonald's just entered into the chicken war this week. They have a new chicken sandwich to go against Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Wendy's, and the other folks that are out here. So we have to just keep people off balance. McDonald's does a great job of bringing in the McRib and taking it off the menu. And that keeps it keep them off balance, because anytime it comes back on the menu, everybody goes crazy for the McRib. Well, the McRib doesn't even have a bone in it. It's just some kind of processed set meat that everybody goes crazy off of, right? But you have to figure it out and see what you can do. One of the things that I've done in the past is that we did smoked turkey legs. We had Turkey Leg Thursday. It was so popular that adults were coming off the streets to buy them for $3 a pop. And students were buying them as well, and we sold out. But I'd only do a certain amount, and then I would take it off the menu for 3 or 4 months. They'll go crazy, like, when are you going to bring it back? And I just say soon. When they brought it back, it just went really popular and do it again. And sometimes we have an issue is that we have something that's a really high seller. We'll keep on the menu so long, then the sales will dip down and drop and it'll be non-existent. Then you can't use it again. So that's why it's good to change up the menu and have specials and do different things you can have. So on Mondays, you can have a dollar menu. You can have any kind of specials, whatever you want to do. We're coming into, winter break, but then we're going to come into spring soon. And we know springs typically causes our sales to go down. So that's when we might need to implement a dollar menu. And the great thing about having a dollar menu is that when you have a dollar menu, the student's probably going to spend at least $3 to $4 on a dollar menu versus the $2.50 or $2 on a lunch or breakfast that they have. So it's all about psychologically changing the way you approach the students and approach your serving that you have on a daily basis. Now, this is a school district where they do their self-serve, where they build your own subs, sandwiches, and snacks. The students get to choose what they want. And it's real simple, they have turkey ham, then they have buffalo chicken. So they have spicy, not spicy. And then they get a choice of what they want. If it be a wrap or if it's in the bread, they have a chance to get all those things going. So again, this is just another option of build your own. And, it's a lot of times you say, well, we don't have the labor, we don't have the line space to do it. Well, you have to figure it out, right? So one of the things that I've done, we had a school that had a big challenge, right? They had 3,500 students. They had one 40-minute lunch period with only 6 lines open. And the school has never made money. It was open since 1980, never made money. And the principal would not budge. It would not give us more lunch shifts to feed the students. So I just finally said, okay, no problem. I hired a whole bunch of 3-hour staffs. So I went from 6 lines to 17 lines. And I had 3-hour staff. They'll come an hour before to help prep their cart, an hour for the lunch shift, and then an hour after to clean up. So we kind of saved in labor because, we didn't have a whole bunch of people, and within 60 days, the school just started making money. It's the first time ever in whatever 20 something years, 30 years that it was in existence. So it's just trying to do something different and do it as a pilot, right? You don't have to say like, okay, we're doing this and this forever. Try it in one school. You don't have to do it in every single school across your school district. Try it out in one school. Then that way just works and you control it. You can make tweaks on the fly and then roll it out and scale it up the next school year or whenever it might be to your school district, because you have to find out an opportunity and a way to do it. Then also just connect your customers, right? This communication is really important. If you look, I formed a group called the School Nutrition Champions, where they helped you. They were eyes and ears on the ground. They would go out and talk to other students, hand out samples of items to other students. This is a student giving out a card because we had texting service where the students sign up for text and they would give it out, and the students got a chance to, if they enrolled, they had a chance to win a $25 gift card. But again, it's just thinking out of the box and trying to figure out what you can do. I talked to a lot of people that say, hey, we're losing money in the school district. I was like, well, you have to invest and see what you want to do that's different and unique to get some things going. So it's really just seeing how you can increase your communication. Then giving thanks, right? I always tell everybody, it's just like, hey, you have to kind of pay the piper. So go into your local Dollar Tree, buying you some thank you cards, and The students that's coming through the line and eating, and maybe some that's not, have the whole cafeteria staff just sign the card and say, hey, I just want to thank you for eating breakfast and lunch with us. You know, I hope to see you again tomorrow. And this goes a long way. You just don't hand them out just to everybody, but you hand them out kind of frequently. And just like if it's just once a week, just different people, and it makes the students feel special. And it just goes a long way with the students as well. Then again, I talked about touching the tables and making sure that you're communicating with them and going out to visit them on a daily basis. Now, lastly, my last section talk about it really is just atmosphere, right? We have to mimic retail environments. You'll see a lot of environments that they go out here and they're changing their menus, they're changing their the store footprint, and it looks really nice. Free Wi-Fi, and this is the type of area that your students are going to when they leave schools. They're not going to other schools. So how are we going to compete, right? We have to make sure that we can try to get some kind of seating and get those things going. This is an example of a school district I was out to in Oklahoma. We worked with the school district. This school was built in 1940. So on the screen you see is the seating layout, but we did a 2D rendering of what the cafeteria might actually look like when it was there. So we actually got a chance to show the students, and they had to provide input on what it looked like. So each section, as you see, this says elevation B, that'll have 3 to 4 options of what students can choose from to get everything going inside the school. So this is a front shot of the before shot of what the cafeteria looked like. They literally only had 2 serving lines in the school. They were going from 4 lunch shifts down to 3 lunch shifts. So we had to make room and try to increase the throughput. So this is when I went and consulted. I said, hey, we need to increase the amount of lines. So we went from 2 lines to literally, I think, 7 lines that they have open now. It was really great. So this is the school afterwards when we redid the entire school. It was over. This was a huge project over the summer, but most of the times we can do schools over the weekend. Once the school is painted, we can go in, with the MeTEOR team, and they could actually install a school over the weekend and get it all done for you. Again, they were trying to make room in this cafeteria, so we knocked out a wall and then opened it up for additional seating as well. And then it's just creating different seating that works for your school district. Again, these are all mobile tables, so you can move them and kind of go from there. This school district, same school district in Oklahoma, we actually had to knock out those glass walls to the left and open it up. As you see those columns, that's outside patio, and you see those kind of diagonal crisscross brick open patterns that we had to open it up. Now we changed it into a window where you saw those brick holes, and we actually wrapped the glass window so it'll limit the amount of sun coming in, but still it could give it a dynamic effect of the whole entire cafeteria. Then this is, again, the school that you saw, purple and gold, Northwest Classen. This is before, then this is after the school when they got it done. So it was a lot of work. As you see to the far left of the picture, there's butcher paper on the wall. And that's one thing we started doing, is just adding butcher paper. It's just an accent. You can write specials on it, notes to students, whatever it might be. You just want to make sure that you just have something that's engaging for the students, and to kind of go from there. The great thing about Oklahoma City Public Schools that you just saw the last 2 pictures, the school, Northwest Classen, the purple and gold, they went up 27% for lunch and 20% for breakfast. Capitol Hill High School went up 15% for lunch and 5% for breakfast. And these sales opened and has sustained. Actually, they actually went up even more, but didn't even change the menu. It's really just creating an environment that's really conducive for the students. When they come in there, they're like, wow, I really want to sit in here and hang out and get these things going. This is another example of an area when you can redo something. This was a senior area, worked with the students and say, hey, what can we do in this area to make it look different? So we created a senior area and had their own seating, and they had their own area that was really, really great. So we also worked in this district and did a couple other schools, and Capsule High School went up 34% for lunch, and Westside High School went up 21% for lunch. And this is all less than 45 days. So we try to make sure that we just reach out to the customers and the students, and we get them involved in the process. And once you get them all going, an investment like the seating and graphic design automatically pays for itself, because it's gonna increase your participation and get everything going. Not only that too, is that our resources, you get into the different magazines and people start learning about you and all the great stuff that you're doing. Um, this school got into had like basically about 5 different articles that they had that went out: food management, SNA magazine, a lot of different schools, they magazine publication that they had for a lot of the efforts that they did working inside the schools. So I just want to wrap up that, you know, sometimes that, you know, this could be kind of scary doing this. And the great thing about it is you have great teams like Gina, everybody out there to help you out with MeTEOR, to help walk you through this whole entire process. And I think Gina will give you, help you out, or Doug, with all the information that you need to walk you through the process. And I'm here as well if you need to answer any questions. So Sebastian, you can take it away from here.
Thanks, Kern. So we actually, thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. While you were speaking, we received a few questions. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read them out loud. One of our questions is from Stacy, and she was wanting to know what points should I bring up when trying to get my superintendent to approve the allocation of funds to redesign a few of our school cafeterias?
That's a great point. That's a great point. That's why I like talking to a lot of students, right? Because then now you can back your superintendent to a corner, because now you get feedback from your customers and your students. You have that data down and said, hey, here's what the students would like, right? They want to change this around. Plus you have the data from MeTEOR to show you're going to see your return on investment of what is going to, or what happens when you do a cafeteria improvement like this. And so it's kind of, you take a two-prong approach. So then, you know, that kind of backs the principal into a corner, saying like, okay, it's gonna give me a return on investment. It's gonna make my students happier. Therefore, also helping them better in the classroom. It becomes a win-win-win situation. And then if all else fails, you have experts out there in California that can bring, you know, take you, go with you to that meeting to talk to the superintendent as well, if you need any other resources or backup.
Great. And another question we have from Carl. He's asking, what is a typical budget for somebody that would like to redesign a cafeteria in a high school of about 1,500 students?
Yeah, Carl. So that's like that's a hard. That's kind of difficult for me to answer that
Too
one. It's
specific.
just like, yeah, because you know every school is built so different, right? I've seen. I could put it like this. You have options, right? So I've seen. I have actually a client who did this. They didn't have a large budget, similar school size to yours. They didn't have the funds at first to do the whole entire cafeteria. So they did the graphic design, and then they did half the cafeteria and furniture, every other line. So it helped them out with their budget. That budget, I think, came in maybe less than $100,000 or whatever. But again, it all depends on what tables you choose, the graphic package. But I think just the great things of working with MeTEOR is that they can figure something out for you, even if it's just an accent wall. Like you can start off with somewhere and get things going for you. So I've seen school districts for anywhere from between $40,000 to $300,000. So it all depends on what you want. It's like buying a car.
Absolutely. And the last question that we have is from Lisa, and she's wondering, besides the nutrition directors, which other stakeholders should I get involved?
Besides nutrition, oh, so students, number one. Then you want to talk to the administration staff or whatever school that you plan on doing. Talk to them, so make sure they have an input, because what we see sometimes that principal A might be there this year, but principal B might be there next year, and so they might have different outtakes. But at least talk to the principal, let them know what's going on. And then a little different in Florida and different parts of the country, they have area superintendents or executive directors. Get in the whole chain of command, involved in the whole process, and get them to sign off, say, know what's happened, just in case if anything happens. You say, no, look, all these people are involved in the process. And then get your construction folks involved as well. Even though they might not be knocking any walls out, they might know about permitting, but they might know about load-bearing walls, the whole 9 yards. Everybody knows what's going on, and then you roll the project out and kind of go from there. So the more people, the better, as far as letting them know. But if you start getting into the details about what tables they should choose, then it starts getting really hectic and you're going to want to give up. So just let them know about the whole process and the details in general, and kind of go from there. And then lastly, I forgot one important staff person, whoever does your the custodial crew at that school, please talk to them, because even though you want to let them know that it's going to be on wheels and let them know that it's mobile, but you want to get their feedback as well, because they can make you or break you, because they can go complain to the principal and say, hey, this is too hard for me. We need to get rid of furniture or do something else. But you get their buy-in, they're going to be really happy about it.
All right. Well, thank you. Great pointers. And we would like to thank you all for attending this afternoon. And we look forward to hearing from you. You have Kern's email and phone number here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And thank you for your attendance. Thanks, Kern.
Thank you, Sebastian.